Good morning. So, ready to start on round 3 of our little role-playing game. Basically, I'm just show you all where we ended at the end of round 2. We have our main file. Run that. We can use our arrow keys to move the guy around. And the big thing here is that we're able to use a sprite sheet class to select whichever character we want out of the sprite sheet. We've started creating classes for the sprite sheet for the player entity. And gonna see, I've been thinking today, before we start implementing more characters in this project, I think we're going to try to load up a little map for the guy to walk around in. Hit escape to get out. Code again. So here's the code as of today. Go to the top, have some imports for some stuff we're using. We have our constants defined, initialize the display, which is that part. I don't know, we'll come back to that. We have our sprite sheet, loads in the file, and we'll split it up for us. Sprite sheet.get will give us one rectangular slice out of that sprite sheet. And we've started working on a player class, but we have not gone very far with it. Keep going down, you can see that in place of sprites, we're now using this animated subclass of sprite, which allows us to pass off the animation to another library. Always nice to let someone else do your work for you. And checking for the keys, we're checking for the exit key, that's just tied to character 27, which is escape. Toggles is done to true, which will break the while loop. And then we're using the axis, horizontal and vertical axis, to move the player around. The sprite controllers library is handling the animation with the update sprites function. Grab the delta time from one of the demos, and that's where we're at right now. So, been thinking about how to manage the map. There is a tile display built into the framework. There's a tile editor built into the framework also, but I was looking at the code before I started this, and it's really designed for a different type of tile map. The problem I'm facing here is that the tiles are split up over so many different files. And one of the requirements I've set for myself is I am not modifying anything in the .like folder. Somewhat of an artificial restriction, but it also helps with any kind of licensing issues that might come from using someone else's tile set. It just makes it simpler. So one of the things here is that if you look in the examples folder, there's these TMX files, which I already know from past experience is from this is the output file format for the tiled map editor, which I've already downloaded here. Tiled. You can download it from, oh, where was it? Okay. Looks like there's two different things here, but basically mapeditor.org. You go there, you can download the tiled map editor. It's kind of a standard for creating 2D tile maps. And it lets you have different shapes of tiles, lets you have multiple tile file sources, multiple layers. It's a pretty thorough editor. And I have loaded up one of the files here. But if basically you can go through here, load up the examples folder, and there's all of the, you can see the TMX files are tiled map files. Let's look at the town. Number of tiled commons appears to have changed from 8 to 12. To adjust tile references, say yes. Not sure what'll happen. And look, there's our little town. It looks like that doesn't look right. Let me load up the example for the town, see what went wrong. Yeah, those were supposed to be trees. Let me try reloading that. Close, open, town. No. Okay, so you do have to adjust. So something must have changed in these source files, which is fine. We won't start with that. We'll start with this one that already works. Looks like it's just a logo for the tile set. So I was asking around in the Discord group. The file format isn't that hard. Here, it's take a look at it right quick. I mean, there's a PNG of the logo, but basically it's an XML file. XML is really easy to parse. I could probably write a parser for this, but with something like this, because the tiled map editor is so popular, odds are someone else has already done it. And sure enough, there you go. Mantic slash mini micro dash tiled. I would much rather use his code than to rewrite this myself. The source is 4 years old, it looks like, but for something like this, I'm not sure that matters. So we're going to basically import that into our project. There's a couple ways we can do this. I could clone that whole Git repository into my project, but Git repositories get weird when you nest them. So what I think I'm going to do, lib slash tile docs. What I really want to do is create a lib folder here for, I want to do this. Yeah, I'm going to do it this way. Might change it later, but it's good enough. And I'm just going to download this. Download the zip. Open. Mini macro tiled main. There's all the stuff. When you download a Git repo like this, it's going to have the project name, dash, and then the branch name. In this case, we're downloading the main branch. So, maybe my micro tiled. With a little sample PNG. That's fun. So let's see if we can learn how to use this. It comes with its own resources. Looks like, I don't know, this might be something you can load into the tiled program. I would have to play with it to find out. I'm not planning to do that though. It has a license file. Making open source projects, you should read the license. But he's using the same license I am. The year is different, but the text is the same, so cool. I can work with that. And a README. Why not read the README? Purpose, loading tile maps, cool. Usage, oh nice. So this tells us what we need to import and how to use it. Basically, it has a little renderer. Display layer, that's probably the display index from the mini micro. Load and render are expensive. Only call them once per layer. Oh, I wonder how many displays are necessary to use one of these. I guess we'll find out soon. I'm not going to worry about it yet. Probably going to want the zoom level to match our sprite zoom level. Known issues. So, large maps load slow. Only one image can be used per display tiled layer. That's too bad, really. We'll see what the consequence of that is soon. Only 7 tiled layers can be used at a time. Okay. Well, we're just going to start running with this and see what we can do. But if it gets... I don't know. I'd rather not edit any of the original assets, but I might need to just because of some of the limitations of the system here. We'll see. I'm not going to worry about it yet. So, let's try doing the import. We're just going to start doing this. So we import the file, and in our folder structure, it's actually this. Hopefully. I'll have to make sure that actually works. It's kind of a weird thing to do. I'm going to copy that. Hopefully it's a good idea. And I actually need to see his README. Hopefully he can handle XML files, not just JSON files. Otherwise, we're going to be doing some exports in a minute. And we will load that just before we load the player sprites. Slash tile maps. I'm not sure what that's about. Let's find out before we go too far in. So tiled, at the load function, tile map file, image path. Oh, so relative to the root of the app where image files are located. Cool. To the root of the app. Okay, so I think before I start trying to load the DOM-like assets, we're going to see if we can just load up the example map. So that would be lib mini micro tiled. No, that's the same. Let's see if that just works without blowing up. reset, run. Can I load that directly or run it directly? I think I can. Library not found, lib tiled level. Okay. So the problem here is that it's importing this file correctly, the tiled MS file, but then it's trying to do other imports. So the way to get around that, basically we have to add to the paths folder. I have an example of that in the microhack project, which I have open here. Go to the main file for this project, and I'm going to copy some of my own code. Find where I put main. There we go. Go to the top of this file. You can see I have a whole pile of import paths. Basically, we need to do something like that. Okay. When you edit the import paths, you need to make sure you don't lose what was already there. In this case, it's like sys/lib. You don't want to lose that. And oh yeah, in my other project, I dumped everything into a source folder, which I might end up doing here, but I'm not doing yet. I think I just need to add that to get the import to work. Let's find out. Library not found. Oh boy, time to debug. Did I type it right? Since I added that, I don't think I need that. Oh, cool, now it works. Well, it doesn't break. And the tiled object is populated, so cool. Working and not breaking are not necessarily the same thing. Let's get it to where it's actually working and not breaking. Are we loading in the resource? Since we're loading resources here, we need the full path, I think. It's because it's not the same as the import paths. I'd like to replace that with a reference to the QA library. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Make sure I remember the format correctly. Okay, so basically you have an assert, you have your check there, something that returns a boolean, and then optional error message. Let's do that here. T-level assert that there's not T-level error, but if there is, and let's see if that worked. We're just going to put a intentional bug in there. Make clear, reset, run, main. Error loading tiled file does not exist. And then it breaks, which is perfect. Sure it works now. Okay, we're back to working, not breaking, but still not working. Cool. Now, it looks like add render layer. So tiled map is going to have a number of render layers, and if I understand this correctly, each render layer has to be attached to a display layer. And then render it, hopefully only render it once, and then you can use the tile map's ability to, the tile display's ability to scroll around. Let's do that. Set zoom. I want to clone that from our sprite scale. Name that to render scale. Layer 0, display layer is 6. How does that go with our allocated displays? So tile layer is currently 6. We might end up needing a bunch of layers because this could display some tiles beneath the player and some tiles over the player, which is actually a useful feature. If we run out of displays, then I can always make the reallocate the solid color display to something else. Tile set image index. Not sure what that means yet, but I bet we will before this project is complete. And let's just see what happens. Wow, that actually worked. I mean, it looted a thing. The color's not what I expected. I thought it would look more like that. Instead, it's this weird green color. I'm not sure why. You can see that there's something else going on the edges that looks like the right color. So let's see if we can figure that out. I'd like this to render properly before we're done. Loading in this example tile set might just be the project for today. We're setting up our displays here. We didn't really set up the tile display. Let's see if there's anything else in the README about that. Here's one thing. If you read all the instructions, the author recommends that I dump the lib and resource folders into the root of my application, which I am actually not doing. And for now, I don't think I am going to do it, just to keep all of the imported code and assets separate from my own. Map and tile map must be saved in JSON format. So those TMX files will have to be converted. Hopefully that's not too hard. Object layers are not supported, tile rotation is not supported. Nothing in here about the color. Let's see what happens when we load, because I want to see what's going on with those colors. Load is the render. Add render layer, and then T-level render. It's probably tiled level. Render layer. And basically, as layers then turn, and then for each of the layers, render that layer. It seems simple enough. Is there any kind of tint being applied? Let's see. So the tiled layer does not have any sort of tint being applied. The opacity, visible, data, index. I know for tile displays you can set a tint on the tiles. Here's the render. It's not there. It makes me wonder if it's something that I did not set properly. So let's look at the documentation for tile displays. Going back to our code, and then loading up the wiki, let's learn about the tile display. Did I type that wrong? Ah, I did type that wrong. Tile display. There's a scroll X, scroll Y, and there's also a cell tint. You can set the color of a particular cell. Which isn't that function isn't being used anywhere, so I don't know where the green's coming from. Let's focus on scroll X and scroll Y. This is probably going to look really weird, but do it. Display, type that tile. So we're going to scroll our tile display by the amount that the user is trying to move, in addition to moving the player. So this is probably going to look weird. Escape, rerun, display types is unknown. Oh, and oh, that is interesting. The green tiles are only on that bottom section. But we can move around the whole map, which is kind of neat. Of course, our player wanders off the screen. Now that begs the question, is the tint part of the tile set or the tile map? Find out. Let's open it up in tiled. Asset, lib, resources, tile maps. That's our tiles. Dungeon 1 tile map. Let's load Dungeon 1. So it should look like this if it was doing what it was supposed to do. And there's the actual tiles. We can control mouse wheel to zoom that in. So it should be kind of like a big plus sign. Nothing is green. I'm not sure what's up with that. Let's see if we can debug that, because that's the type of thing that can drive me nuts. Reset. Let's look at it again. Do we have at least have the plus sign? You can see that there's something going on another. Oh, so it looks almost like another layer. But if you go around, you can see the entire shape of that plus sign. Let's see. So there's tile layer 1. I'm not seeing a tile layer 2. Why is it green? This thing for a minute. So we're using layer 6 to render the tiles. Built-in tile display. It's going to come with whatever presets are in there. Wonder what would happen if we set that as a different display index. Looks like the library is going to set up that display for us, display mode tile. So theoretically, we should be able to just feed that a different number. 5 is unused. Let's throw a 5 in there just to see what happens. Easiest way to fix or change that would be to this, and it shouldn't really change anything, but let's find out. Oh, that's annoying. So, changing that from 6 to 5 means that now it's brown instead of green. But you can see the whole thing, which is just... What in the world is going on with that? Okay. I'm setting it to 7. This is a bad idea because it's going to overwrite the solid color display, which we already have set to blue. But it might still work anyway because we're setting the solid color display and then overwriting it later in the code, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. That is interesting. It's not clearing out all the displays. But look at that, setting it to 7 is giving us the right colors. So, current theory, some of the displays aren't being cleared out properly. Let's set this back to 5. We have a sprite layer. Right after that, it's the tile layer. Somewhere under that, it's the solid color layer. And it's just really weird. I need to think what's going on here. Python 5, moving that around with our silly little yellow thing. But the solid color display is broken. Which is weird because we reset everything, which should have put that solid color display back where it was supposed to be. So I'm going to think about this for just a second here. That should really be like that. Break something. No. No more broken than it was. So we have something that works, but it's not entirely clear what. Set, load, main, run. Whatever the problem is, it's related to the fact that the solid color display is no longer a solid color display. I'm trying to explicitly set this. I think it's display mode.solid. Display fallout. What's the other numbers? Let's turn off the others. .ui. The .mode. Yeah. We're not using the UI layer yet. We're not using layer 3 or 6. Turn off all the displays we're not using. So we're only using the tile display, solid, UI, and QA. Well, now it's not doing anything. I'm mashing the arrow keys and nothing's happening. That's because display 3 is text, I believe. It's part of our problem. Solid not found in map. Ah. All right, back to the wiki. What are our display modes? I've apparently not memorized them all yet. Off a solid color, not solid. Excuse me. Reset. Yay! Back to our previous broken state. It's not broken, it's just not behaving properly. One change I'm going to make here. It's not going to fix the color problem, but I want to keep our player centered on the screen. So display mode, sprite. I think it's width. No, there's no width and height there. I thought there'd be a width and height property. No pixel width. Okay, so we're just going to go back here. Pixel display. Default width and height is 960 by 640. So pixel width, which we're going to spell properly, divided by 2 minus sprite width divided by 2. And for the y, similarly with the height, minus 2 divided by 2, thank you. That should center the player sprite, and then we're not going to physically move the player on the screen anymore. And that will have the effect of making it look like the player is moving around our map, like that. Basically, all the other characters will have their positions adjusted relative to where the player is. But I still want to know why that bit down there is the wrong color. And why is it not the wrong color when we change it to layer 7? Let's comment out the solid color stuff. We're just gonna try some things. Something wrong with that layer. But what could it be? It's something that's being preset. Now, one way we could do this is to just install a new tile display. I think. Everything back. Promise we shouldn't have to install a new one. Tile layer. We're saying display mode is tile. What gives? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try turning that display off. No. Yes, no. Let's try it. Turn it off and see what happens. Display out. Oh, display type. Okay. It's turned back on by that tile layer class. And then you get all of those weird brownish tiles. It's like it's setting the cell tent, but I cannot find a reference to the cell tent function. One thing you can do with these displays is actually install a new one if you had in mind to, which is nice if you wanted to have a back buffer, you want to flip between two displays. So what I'm going to do is just create a new tile display and install it. Tile display, install it on that display index. I don't feel like that should change anything, but we're gonna try it. Hey, look, that fixed it. So there was something in the built-in display. It's like a cell tint was set on all those cells, and I don't know why. But before I started this video, I was running a bunch of demos, and I wonder if one of those demos mucked up the display. There's one way to find out. So we're gonna change that. So we're not going to install our new display. We're just going to let it be whatever it is. Rerun, and oh, look, it looks fine. Now let's completely restart the system. Reset, load main. No, I'm gonna run main. Hey, look, the colors are fine. Apparently I've been snipe hunting this whole time. It does bring up the fact that it's like if you're going to run other programs, they might be mucking up your displays in ways that your program is not accounting for. So, so yeah. The solution, I think, is going to just be to install a fresh new tile display at that display layer just to make sure nothing else is mucking it up. So I think we're going to leave that there. So the goal today was to see if we can load up some of the built-in example maps. So let's switch tracks and see if we can actually do that. We have a blank here, which, that's not what we need. One thing I need to try, I'm going to have to modify files, which was, I didn't really want to do that originally, but I think it is necessary because I cannot keep the original files and use that mini micro tiled library. I have to pick one. Something has to give. So let's make a maps folder. Load up tiled. Recent files. I think I do want the logo. It's pretty simple. There's only one layer. Export. Can I export to JSON? Yes, I can. Keep the file name. And let's see what that looks like. Well, it's a TMJ file, not a JSON. But it looks the same as the one from our example. Tile map, tiles, tile map, JSON file. I guess one of the things I'm wondering is if we need to export the actual tile map definition also. I'm reading through this to see if there's reference to another file. We have, that's pointing back towards the PNG files, but that's fine. I think we're going to try to load this this TMJ file. I'd love to be able to load the town file, but let's do this first. So, assets, maps, logo.tmj. That needs to be pointing towards not exactly sure what that needs to be. But, well, I have a theory. We need to make sure that when that path is processed, that it points to the wall PNG file. So it's going to go up a layer and then into the DOM-like objects. I think it just needs to be the assets folder. Let's try that. Key not found, source not found in map. So I did something wrong. Tiled level, line 226. Tile set definition dot source. Oh. So in here you can see the tile sets. It's the images are attached directly. But in the example, the tile set, it's referencing a tile set file. We need to create a tile set file. Which, never done that before. Let's do it. That sounds fun. We're working with this guy right here. Can we export tile set? Cool. Assets, maps. Now actually, I want this in the tile sets folder. We're going to create just a logo tile set for the logo map. What did that create? Logo TSX, which is an XML file. We can't do XML. Export tile set. Oh, come on. How do we do this? Let's open up the tile set and we will try to save it as something else. Export as JSON tile set. Let's try that again. Something didn't work right. Oh, no, I saved it to the wrong folder. So let's copy that down to tile sets. We do want to move it, and then for our map, replace JSON tile sets. Export maps, JSON, logo. Okay, so theoretically, if we look in, so we have our tile sets TSJ file, And we have our map, which is also JSON, pointing to the logo TSJ file, which is also JSON, so it's just like JSON from top to bottom. And maps, TMJ. Let's see what that does. Invalid path, error loading file, file does not exist. Could not find the logo TSJ file. Because starting from assets and it's going up a level and then back down, which is weird. I think I'm just going to edit this file directly. No? Let's try this. That might be the right way to do it. Oh, QA, clear. Reset, run. Oh, look at that. Dawn Hack. The creator of the Dawn Hack tile set should be so happy right now. If only he knew. He or she. I actually don't know much about the author. Maybe I should get to know something about the author. Okay, so that's cool. Let's see if we can load up the town. Probably gonna have to go through that same back and forth. Open town. Oh, I forgot, but the trees are broken. Oh, huh. The tab key will clear out the UI. It's kind of interesting. All right, we're gonna fix this right quick. Hopefully it's right quick. And see if we can get this going. Examples, town. So those isolated squares are just like isolated trees. Let's fix that. There's our tree tile. Sorry if that's small. Oh look, I can make it bigger. Let me make this a little bigger for you. Interesting. Okay, so the trees are on the sprite layer. So let's plop those trees down. Tree, 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 tree. Those are trees. What's going on here? It looks like it's a small group of trees. Sorry if the switching is making you dizzy. Ah, that's what we need. And let's see what was down there. Trees. And that black is correct. And save that because it was broken. Just gonna overwrite the original file. I want to export that tile set into our tile sets folder. Oh, this is gonna be a bit more work. Each of these tile sets has to be exported. Do I want to do that right now? Also, I missed a couple things down here. More trees. The world needs more trees. Do I want to do this right now? I think that I do. Video feels like it's getting long, but if you're still here, maybe you'll think it's interesting. Just gonna blast through each of these. Exporting each of these as the proper JSON format. Which one did I just export? Layer 0. Is there any more? Yes. So that's exported all the tile sets. Now let's export the map. Maps, town, save. This one has 2 layers. We'll have to see how to deal with that in just a second. Although if we hide the sprites layer, you still get a decent, it's not nearly as interesting with only the 1 layer. I really want both layers. All right, so back in our code, we have our maps. There's the town in JSON format with a bunch of tile set references. We have our tile sets, which are, all in the wrong format. Let's deal with that. Assets, tile sets, everything but logo. Export as JSON. I write a script to automate this, but it would take too much time. The problem is always trying to find the balance there. Is it worth automating? Is it worth taking the time to try to save time? Okay, so we just exported all those tile maps into... Did we? What did I... Okay, we saved them to the wrong folder, just like earlier. Those down. Stay up there. And then the logo is just reference a TSJ file. So I think we just want to take all the TSXs and replace it with TSJs. Theoretically, we should be able to load this in. Let's use 5 and 6. Let's think about this for a second. It's useful to have one layer over your sprites and one layer under your sprites. Tile over, tile under. Now we gotta check every place with a dot tile. And the trick here is we have to scroll both of our tile layers. Render layer, tiled layer 0. Is it 0? I don't think it's 0. Let's reopen our town map. I think 0 is sprites. Not sure what tile set image index is. I bet we'll find out real soon when this breaks. I don't know, maybe it won't break, maybe it'll work fine. Let's find out. Oh, add render layer out of index 1. Did I not reloaded the correct file? No, I did not. That's funny. Town. Well, that kind of worked. Some of those walls look like they might be in the right place. Let's see, there's 1, 2, 3. Looks like those are right, but the corners are wrong. The sprites aren't being loaded at all. Not sure why. But going to draw this down to a close, I think, because I've been at this for a while. Reload the logo, because the logo is working. So there you go, the unhacked tile set. It's not perfect, but it's progress. No, it's not progress. The sprite's gone missing. Uh-oh. 4, 4, 5, 7. Let me just see what happens when we do this. Because our player has gone missing. Sprite's not found. Sprite controllers 9 through 20. Fix one thing, you break another. When a sprite was set to 4, and tile over was also set to 4. We don't have the 4 hard coded anywhere. Let's look at sprite controllers again. Something that we did broke the way the sprite controllers works. Syslib sprite controllers. I think sprite controllers is hard coded to display 4, which yeah, it wants to use display 4. I'm not sure what I want to do about that yet. Because I'd rather not muck around with the predefined layers. I guess I will if I have to. What I'm going to do, I'm going to load in the town map. We're only going to load in the base layer, which I think is layer 1. And we're not going to scroll that. Let's just see what that does. Tile over, not found in map. 46. We got our player back, so that's nice. There's a lot of other problems here. What I think I'm going to do... Okay, let's see if our logo works. Layer 1 out of range. That's something where we're going to have to be a little more particular about how we're loading in these layers. So this is for the town. That's for the logo. Reload. So we have our player. We have the simplest map out of the entire collection. That works. I want to clear out the tile layer when we're done. Escape. It's all gone. Okay, so I think I'm going to close that off for now, because we have been at this for a while. Implement a simple scrolling tile map. That is what we did today. Whole pile of more assets in there. All that is going up to the Git repo, which you're welcome to follow along with, or poke at it and tell me all of my code is horrible, which is fine. I get that a lot. Any code, anything that I write that's older than 3 months could probably be done better. And I think that is it. Next time, we're going to poke again at that town tile map, see if we can get our town visible. And once we have a town, we can start populating it with people, which will be fun. And that is all. See you later.